Hey, it's Alexia from Chillin' Bodum, and I am blowing it up on Capital Chaos TV.
This is Tom Sundgren from Capital Chaos TV, and we're here with Mathieu Marcotte. How do you pronounce your last name?
Marcotte.
Marcotte.
Yeah.
And he is from the band Augury, Humanoid, and Spasm back in the day. But yeah, thanks so much for doing this interview. I know we've been talking about it for a while now. I'm glad it lined up for both our schedules. But yeah, I really appreciate the time talking with us today.
Oh, thanks to you, man. Thanks to you. That's cool.
Yeah, of course. So how things been lately with the pandemic the last year and stuff? Has it affected your work at all, or you've been busier
Yeah,
than
right
usual,
now.
or-
Yeah, right now in Montreal, there's a lockdown. It's pretty much everything is closed except for groceries and pharmacies and like the essential places.
Yeah.
And we have a curfew like at 8 p.m. So
Oh wow.
I'm doing some studio work. So for now, like I can't record anyone for now. I have to wait until late February. And they will see if the cases goes down. Apparently, they'll remove the curfew from there. I think it has to go below 1,000 or something like that. So for now, that's how it affects us. Like I can't practice with the band either. Like we're doing a show with Augury soon, but like I'm really confident. But we're doing everything at distance, and
Yeah.
but it works. It works well for us. It always worked this way.
Nice. Are you guys
We're
doing
fine with it.
rehearsing like through Zoom type of thing? Like,
Usually what we do, because our drummer Antoine lives in Quebec City and the rest of the band we're living in Montreal, so it's like a 3 hours drive or so. So we don't get to see each other really that often. We work. Augury is really a band like since I would say the last 7 or 8 years of the band. We work a lot at distance.
okay.
So me, I'm recording Forrest and Pat. So they're coming here. We always do pre-prods for our albums. So we demo or riffs before, and then we record it final. But right now, I can't really see the guys that much because of COVID.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We have to deal with it, and
Yeah.
we're using this time to advance other things.
So for the live stream, will you guys be all together, or is it going to be like kind of
Yeah,
separate?
sure, yeah,
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be all together, but we have to wear a mask all the way through, except when we're on stage, and there's no hangouts. We're going there, we're doing the show, and then we go on the separate hotel rooms, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a weird feeling, maybe a bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna feel good for sure.
Yeah. Definitely better to play it safe these days. Hopefully it all gets better months and months from now, maybe 6 months. And I'm hoping like outdoor festivals will be a thing come fall. I know like Ticketmaster is talking about like on-site testing and stuff like that, but I personally don't see like indoor concerts happening the next few months, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know how it is in your area right now. Like, are they planning, or did they talk about doing some later this year? Or
I know like this like festival called Aftershock. It's in like Northern California. That's still on, but that's not till October of this year.
okay,
Um, but and then I have a buddy like who lives in like the New Orleans area. He said they're having like some indoor concerts next month, but I think it's like a lot smaller, kind of little bars and stuff. I'm
okay,
actually really surprised that that's even happening. I don't know if it's still on or it's going to cancel last minute type of thing, but it's kind of more like local bands, but still, it's I don't see how that's going to work. But
yeah.
yeah, so going back to the audio engineering stuff, so do you have like bands that send you stuff this last year and you're able to still mix and master it, or is it more kind of like live studio like band
I'm
work that
doing
you're used to?
I'm doing some recording, mixing, and mastering for bands and for my own bands too. And lately, I was working with Forrest on a project with another guy that is known in Australia, Robin Stone, who was the drummer of Diamanta, and he plays in other bands too.
Oh,
So I
nice. Oh,
worked
yeah.
on this project lately. I'm working a lot on the third Humanoid album right now.
Oh, yeah.
I am maybe at 80% of the work done.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'm working on that. I'm working on Augury too. So yeah, lately I was working on those three projects. I moved my studio last fall. I moved my studio, so it's a really long task to reinstall everything, and plus it was a person like my studio has always been with me where I live, so it's a home studio,
Oh, okay.
but it's kind of a, I would say, middle range home studio. Like it's not a beginner's one either, but I'm
Yeah.
doing that for maybe 10 or 11 years. I think it's my 11th years that I'm doing studio work. And
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I did some singles for a couple of bands also in the last year. One cool band was Got Void, a really good band from Toronto,
Hmm.
which is kind of a doom, a kind of a gore guts type, but a bit more doomer.
Okay. Sick. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm always busy in different projects at the same time.
Now, did you go to school for audio engineering, or are you self-taught type of thing?
It's all self-taught, and I took course with a friend of mine, Hugues Delaurier, which is a producer I worked with in the past with Humanoid in Augury, and he showed me. He's my mentor. He showed me a lot, and plus another big part is by myself, self-taught, like pretty much by buying books and making stuff. Like nowadays, it's much more easier to get the infos, but you need also tips from real professionals for sure. It helps a
Okay.
lot to advance your career. Yeah, you
That's
can be
awesome.
100%, like nowadays you can be 100% self-taught for sure. Like some are doing it and they're super good, but after a certain level, you need those advice. It really helps for to grow.
Yeah. Definitely some technical stuff. I kind of did some classes here and there early in college, but switched my major from sound engineering to journalism. More so because like there was a ton of music theory classes to take, and I kind of know like the gist of music theory, like very entry level stuff.
Okay,
Um,
was it too generic for your taste, or you would have preferred it
um,
more focused on certain things?
yeah, I'm kind of more kinesthetic, hands on with like the actual, audio and recording stuff. I would want more so at that time. But
Okay,
yeah, with music theory, it's like I know like modes and stuff, but like it came to like music theory 4, they wanted you to like transpose uh, and notate like Bach on paper, and you have to like notate when the key changes and all this stuff. So I don't know, I was kind of like, yeah, this is
okay.
over my head, but that was all the prerequisite stuff before the actual recording but stuff. But um,
Yeah, but everything helps, right? It must
yeah,
have
no, yeah,
helped you
it's
somewhere in your
definitely,
life.
yeah, it's definitely a point for that, and I wish I was good at that stuff and found it interesting. But yeah, so is your audio engineering work? Is it like, would you say it's like freelancing, or do you have like a company title for it type of thing?
Oh, it's freelancing.
Okay,
And so far I never made publicity, like it's just word to uh sorry, word by mouth or word to mouth.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, enough
and
people know
yeah, it's
your
pretty
thing.
much it. Like I did it for a while, like full time, but it was really hard. You have to juggle with 5 or 6 projects at the same time, and you work 7 days a week, and you basically have no life. It's pretty hard, and when you get your money, it's always a struggle. Like, do you put it like for your living or for buying gear? Because in a sense, you have to improve all the time. It costs a lot to do. It's a hobby that costs a lot at the end. But
Yeah,
at one point, I mean, it's worth it. Like at the end, for sure. Like yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like part of your normal day too with writing too. And I'm sure you get inspired by other bands you record with and kind of make your own sound better through the
Yeah,
sound quality and
exactly.
stuff like
Yeah, I spend a lot of time doing tests. Also, it's part of it, like just trying plugins, trying gear, and try to improve your sound. It's a never-ending quest, really. Like you're
that. Oh,
never really 100% happy with what you do usually, so that's what makes you go forward and try different things because it evolves quickly that field, so you really have to be updated.
oh yeah.
But
Always.
also on another hand, there's things that never change. Or if you want to go vintage, like you can always go the old way. Like there's ways for doing things that I still do the same after 10 years, and I mean it's okay. It's kind of a comfort zone for certain things, and but for other fields, other aspects, you have to go update. It's really a mix between the two, I think.
Oh, okay. Balance of them. I see.
Yeah.
Nice. So, yeah. So, like one of the main questions you've probably got asked a lot in the past, but what got you into playing guitar, and about how old were you when you first started?
I started at 14 years old. It was in 1990. And I started 2 years before, but I quit after a couple of weeks because it was my mom. My mom's plays guitar, and she was playing a classical guitar. But at 12 years old, my hands were smaller, and I was struggling. It wasn't some songs that I liked neither. So I kind of quit after a couple of weeks or months. But then at 14, I grabbed it because one of my friend was at my place, and he took that classical guitar and he just played the Metallica riff, like a really a simple thing, like just a rhythm, a simple rhythm guitar. And I was really hooked on it. I asked him to show me how to do a down picking, a metal down picking, because I could not learn that from my mom. My mom was more a type of old French songs, like it, old folk, pop folk. Like it has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So that friend got me into that, uh, and then I picked it up from there. And the first riff I learned was "Seek and Destroy" from Metallica. After that, some DRI and some Sacrifice, "Soldier of Misfortune." It was one of the first song I learned, and then it went from there. And I got into. I always wanted to. Like when death metal started, like I think I was aware of death metal around that same time I picked up the guitar. So I was really into that early death metal era, and I wanted to compose. Like the two first band I had was cover bands, like we were playing Metallica, Slayer songs. But I always wanted to push more and go in a direction more, always heavier and more death metal. But it was hard also where I was living. It was in a small village, so there wasn't a lot of musicians there. It was really, really hard, especially drummers. Drummers are always the hardest to find in small places when you live in the country. Or
Yeah.
my region it's more surrounded by forests. It's in the north of Montreal. It's 6 hours drive north of Montreal, and
Oh, okay.
it's really deep in the woods. It's a small region, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It was hard to find drummers, so every time I tried maybe a couple of times to start bands really early, but I couldn't find any good drummers. It was really hard to find.
Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, can you talk more about like the formation of Spasm back then? Like, you guys' first album was released in 2000, correct?
95.
Oh, okay. Um,
Yeah, yeah. We did two releases with that band. The band was formed in '94, so I started the band. I was putting together like a song or two, and then I met the bass player and the other original guitarist. in '94, and like for like I said, it was hard to find drummers. So for maybe for 8 months to a year, we had no drummers. But then we met a guy in that city. It's called Val d'Or. And we met a guy, but he was more a hardcore guy, like old hardcore and punk, a bit of metal punk too, but he wasn't really a death metal guy. So we got him into that style. But the interesting thing when I look back at it is that he brought really a unique drumming to Spasm. Like it wasn't really a guy that was super fast. He was more middle tempo, but he was really original on his cymbals, like especially like texture with cymbals, but into an extreme metal context. It's hard to say with words really, but he was really original in his way. So that was in '94. So a year after we recorded the first recording of the band. It was an EP slash demo, and
Oh, okay.
yeah. So this came out in late '95, and then we released the full album in '99. It was it's the only full length the band did, and at that time we were all the band had moved to Montreal. Like we made a big move. Like we lost two guys actually when we moved, so we had to find another singer and another second guitar player in Montreal. So we decided to move the band in Montreal to push the career and make more shows, because where we were living, it's in Abitibi, the region we were coming from. You could do like maybe 3 shows a year or so, not more than that, 3 or maximum 4 shows. We wanted to play more. We wanted to make contacts, basically. But it was another time. It was the early internet era, so
Yeah.
like it's not like you didn't make your contacts the same way you would make it today. Like you had to be you had to go to shows. I remember when we moved in Montreal, it was a task almost of that we gave to ourselves. It was to go to the most show as possible and get to know people and shake their hands, kind of. But it's you had to meet the people for real. So
Huh. Would you say the Montreal scene is a lot bigger for metal nowadays compared to there, or was it still like kind of decent?
it's as strong as before. I think I'm living here
Oh,
since '97, so I'm living here since 23 years. So it's always been big, and I've seen some shows before I moved here. Like the earliest show I saw in Montreal, I think it was in '93, and it was as big as now. But maybe now it's a bit
wow.
bigger because metal is bigger worldwide. Worldwide, sorry. So so yeah, it's probably a bit bigger now, and there's more women into in metal shows too. But yeah, Montreal is definitely it's a huge scene. Like in Canada, it's the biggest scene in Canada. It's here.
Nice. Yeah, I remember seeing like a short little documentary on the music scene in Montreal or Quebec. I don't know, probably 2, 3 years ago, and it was really interesting because I've always wondered for like death metal specifically. Kind of has I don't know, like a unique sound from Montreal specifically for the more tech death progressive type stuff, and I was always curious, just like what's on the water there that people are drinking and stuff. Like it just has this
Yeah, the funny thing.
sound. I remember like in the documentary it talked about there's like this huge like kind of jazz festival that takes place near there, and
Yeah,
so
exactly. There's a
that's a
international jazz festival. Yeah, yeah. This is it's huge. Like this festival has shows in the street. Sometimes there's like 50,000 people. Like
wow.
no, I think I've seen one show. There was 150,000 people. It was a comedy group. Like it's a popular comedy group from here. Like they were doing TV shows at the time. So, but yeah, as the metal scene goes here, like it's crazy, man. Sometimes there's like if I'm talking before COVID, Like there's a metal show every week in Montreal, and it's not rare that you will see like 2, 3 metal shows. Like the more I saw, it was 6 shows. There were six
Wow.
metal shows in Montreal at the same time, and it was a Friday the 13th. There was a huge festival at Fofone Electric, which is a, I don't know if you heard about that place. It's a cult place. It's a bar that exists since early 80s, and it's all the bar itself. It's like an artwork. Like they invite different artists like every year to repaint the whole place like with airbrush, but like really really awesome stuff. Like it's incredible, that place.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. That's awesome. I've always wanted to visit Montreal, definitely for the Death Fest thing that gets put on there in
Yeah,
the
and
summer.
the thing, yeah, and you were talking about if what's up with Montreal with why there's so many bands. Like there's two reason I would see. It's like I've noticed that in Montreal there's a lot of people that comes from all around. Basically, it's really there's a lot of different cultures that there's so many there's so many people basically that comes from everywhere, from the States, from Europe, from different regions somewhere else in Canada, and we all kind of met here. And there's a place called La Cité 2000. It's a huge building. There's 100, and I think it's 115 jam spots, like locals, and in each locals there's 3 bands. That's the average. So there's 300 or 400 bands at the same in the same building. It's huge.
Wow.
Most of these bands are metal bands. So you can imagine all the collaboration like that goes in there. Like I've been there in '97. Like it was our first jam spot with Spasm, and that's where we met a lot of cool band. A lot of we did a lot of cool encounters. That's where I met also Pat Loisel from Augury and Stephen Henry from Neuraxis. Like which are huge friends now. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, Cité 2000 is definitely a cool place to meet, and it's actually a place you just leave your jam spot, you hear a band play somewhere that you know, and you just want to hang out in another local, watch your friends playing, and then you go back to play yourself. Like it's such a cool ambience. It's sad that we don't have a jam spot there anymore, but Augury had maybe we had maybe 3 or 4 different locals there, and I had maybe 2 or 3 with Spasm as well.
Oh, awesome. It's like a whole
Yeah,
melting pot and kind of
yeah,
into their music more or less. You guys kind of get inspired off each other. That's awesome.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of different metals too. There's a lot of punk, a bit of jazz, not too much. It's a loud place, so like if you play classical music, you don't want to have a local there. It's because you can hear through the walls a tiny bit, not that much, but
Yeah.
it could yeah, it could get on your nerves if you would play smooth music maybe.
Yeah, I see. So yeah, I wanted to talk about humanoid also. I haven't seen too many interviews about humanoid and like kind of like the themes of it and stuff like that in the past. So yeah, huge fan of humanoid, and it's
Ah,
just
cool.
so unique, ethereal sounds, dark, experimental, ambient, like makes you feel like you're on drugs on one point, and then it's super beautiful the next. And that's just very hard to pull off doing it through all the instruments you play. But yeah, I've always wondered what were some of your influences and soundscapes, or influences for the soundscapes and song titles for your first album, Remembering Universe.
When I did this album, I was playing like since I started playing guitar actually in 1990. I was always playing classical songs on the sides, like stuff on acoustic guitar that I couldn't use on anything basically. But it was always on the back of my mind to make a project out of it. And it was in 2006. Out of nowhere, I was alone at my place, and I just had a burst like of inspiration, and I think I composed the Remembering Universe, and I think it was over a month or so. Like I composed all the themes. Like it really came together really quick. But all the basic for the base of the album, in other words. And then it was funny because to record it, it took actually a year because all the themes were recorded. My influences were from Michael Hedges to Strauss and Farah, some Bach also, some Leo Brouwer. I don't know if you know Leo Brouwer. He's a Cuban composer, like
Hmm.
a classical composer, but more
Okay.
on the dark side. It's really dark and experimental. So I was influenced a lot by those guys. And yeah, all the teams came together really quick. But then what happened is that my friend Hugues Delaurier, who produced the album, he was living in the same building than me. And we had some time offs a lot at the same time because for a period of time, we were working at the same place. So we had our time offs pretty much at the same time. So I recorded this project and we took our time because we were experimenting on different mics, different gears. And I don't know how it took so long, but we took some times to experiment for sure. Like I remember there's a song I recorded in his bathroom, because we wanted to have like just different textures, just fuck around and not go with a simple miking and keep that all the way. Like we didn't want to make a simple album, so that's why there's a lot of experimentation, but there's no keyboard also on this album. So
Okay.
it was more focus on the classical guitar plus couple of other instruments on top, but not too much. It's not the most experimental album I did, but yeah, it was more based on classical guitar for that album. And
Okay.
then the cover artwork, it was supposed to be a cover artwork from away from Voivod, the Voivod drummers. And what happened is finally the design was cool, but I was offered by Martin Lacroix to he wanted to make me he insisted on making me the nicest artwork ever for that type of music. So we gave it a try, and he came up with that artwork, which is really cool. I really like it. And finally, I used a ways design for the merch for some shirts.
Hell yeah.
So that's how it came up. It came together.
Nice. And as far as like the song titles, is there any like, I don't know, science fiction movies or even like
Yeah, a lot of
astronomers like Carl Sagan or anything like that that inspired you?
exactly. Yeah, you got it. It's exactly that. I was a lot into Carl Sagan at that time, so it's funny you mentioned that. And yeah, a lot of sci-fi, a lot of vintage sci-fi. I remember also on this album, I took some kind of spaceship sounds in couple of movies, and we just took the audio out of it, like without taking music. There's no music. It's just a sound of a spaceship, and we used that on the album. Like, yeah, it was really really interesting recording that album. We
Awesome.
did also the drum was recorded on night sessions because I didn't have the money at the time to make it in a proper studio. So I could use a studio from someone I know, but only in night time. So we were having we're going all around the clock, and we were all super. And it was always when we were super all tired that the drummer came up with the nicest ideas. Like,
Huh.
yeah, it was really a fun time to do that.
Awesome. And then the next album, Door, I love just as much. Those huge organ sounds and little different sound, but for the most part, still humanoid for sure. And
Door was more experimental, and it was made over. I think it's over 8 or 9 years. It
oh
was
wow,
really not long. Yeah, the first because on Humanoid I was experimental. I was experimenting with also producing like my first music productions. I started officially like professionally more in late 2010, So the first, like the oldest recording on door was made like at that time in 2010. So it was made like, yeah, it was made over 8 years.
Okay. Yeah, I
But the
remember
problem with
talking to you.
why it took so long. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I remember talking to you over the years on Facebook Messenger, like just wanting to hear like updates of it and stuff, and you sent me like a audio of like live organs that either you made or someone else made, and I was just like, whoa, this album's gonna be top tier, like next level. And
Yeah,
yeah,
the organ, yeah, the organ recording to this day is one of my greatest recording experience. Like I had the chance to have access to a church in Montreal, and the church was going to be sold, I think, because there's not enough people that were going at that church, so they couldn't keep up with it. They had to sell it. That's what happens actually to a couple of churches here. So, but the thing is, everything was sold in the church, so it was all empty. There was no seats. There was nothing. The only thing that was left was the organ, and they were telling us like it was hard to sell because it's so big and it cost, I think it was a $500,000 that was the
holy,
cost of the, but
jeez.
it cost 250,000 to make it disassemble and reassemble and tune it. So,
Oh, I
so
never
it's kind of $250,000 just to do that step.
like. I
So
assumed they would be expensive. I didn't know it'd be that expensive. Jeez.
yeah, and it's huge, man. That organ was impressive. It was a Casavant organ. It's two brothers from Quebec actually that are famous. It's a famous family that does organ like for generations, I think. And
Wow.
but the thing is, when we got there, I think we just had like 5 hours or so in front of us to do everything. So the guy that played is really a music nerd, and he don't say a word. So he went there and he was having fun while me and two other friends we were plugging everything, all the gear, and like he was playing some amazing things. And I was like, man, please hold on, like you have to play that when we'll record. And the thing that happened is that he was supposed to play on two songs that we chose in advance, but when we started to record, I've noticed that it was not tuned in 440. It was a bit like I think it was. I found out after it was at 432 or so. It was a tiny bit lower, so we couldn't record on top of something else. So I was kind of fucked. Like for a while, I was like, "Man, what are we gonna do?" And but luckily, the guy is really a good improviser. So we just improvised for 2 hours and a half, and I still
Wow.
have that session. It's amazing to listen to that session because over that 2 hour and a half, there's a lot like there's a lot that could have been used, but I choose like really the best moments. Like the thing also is the performance has to be almost perfect because there's so much delay. Like I've put some mics in the middle of the church. They were on a boom stand, 20 feet in the air.
Okay.
So they were capturing like the air, the reverb that's in the room, and there was other mics that were close mic to the organ to get the power of the power and the beef of the organ.
Wow.
It was so huge, that thing. It's like a huge block of wood, and it was shaking when he was doing a certain note. I remember it was cracking. The whole place felt like it was cracking. Like it was really
Wow.
impressive. Yeah, and when I got back home, I was so nervous to press play because when you record something somewhere else, you're always a bit nervous when you're going to press play because
Yeah.
you didn't have the perspective of your place, right? So I was scared to press play, but when I pressed play, like it was sounding huge. Like for I think for 3 or 4 days, I was just listening to that, and I almost felt like my own instrument was nothing. Like I almost felt discouraged by everything else. I was like, this instrument is so perfect. It sounds so huge. Like everything else sounds so small compared to it. And when I mixed it, I almost did nothing. Like seriously, I just I just cut off a bit the wind in the organ, because I think there's fans, a kind of fan that pushes, so you can hear a kind of little wind in it. So that's the only thing I removed. But other than that, it's just the pure sound. It's really an amazing instrument.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if it would be like even harder to like kind of mix and master or deal with the audio, but the fact that it came out more natural and sounded like you didn't have to do too much, that's pretty cool. And I'm sure like
Yeah.
the church being empty and all that stuff kind of gave it some more eerie vibes being there
Yeah.
and all that.
And actually, in that church, I was supposed to record a black metal band, because I had the idea after that. I was like, what if I would record a metal band in there, like all live, all together at the same time, like really a live performance? And I was like it has to be black metal. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
cannot do that with a tech death band. It has to be black metal. So I've put an announce on Facebook, and I got 2 or 3 bands that wrote to me, and so I decided to work with one of them. But I think the church got a word from it that it was going to be that, and they were scared. So at the last time, they asked me to have an insurance for a couple of millions, an insurance that would cover everything in case of fire or anything,
Yeah.
and the band couldn't afford that insurance. It was
Oh,
told to us at the last time, so they just quit the project. So finally, I couldn't do it, but
oh
I'm
damn.
pretty sure like it's because of the organization behind the church that
Yeah.
they couldn't do it.
Proper precautions and all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
that album Door, super amazing too, like I was saying, and like that last track being like almost 20 minutes, Celestial Burial, it just a whole journey in itself, and like so many dark elements and kind of like slow progression and different chords and abstracts, and like I love just the intros, like, or sorry, the outro is just like tear gets to my eyes how profound it is, because it's like abstract, but it's just so much, I don't know, like bliss within it, and it just comes full circle. But yeah, I just remember really being blown away like the last, I don't know, minute to 30 seconds of that part of the album. But yeah, in a few words, how can you kind of differentiate the new humanoid material compared to Door?
the new material is really a continuation of the new album is going to be continuation of Door, really, because I came back to the acoustic a bit like Remembering Universe. There's some 12 strings, there's some classical, but also I would say there's more prog in it, maybe more vintage prog in it, and it's really continuity. It's hard to describe with words. There's as much experimentation, but maybe I would say compared to Door, maybe there's more. How can I say that? There's directions that I added, and there's some that I removed. But it's for the best. Like it's not a huge turn in direction, but like for example, I was a lot inspired by some 70s ambient, like a kind of psychedelic, like with percussions, songs that are longer with percussions. I invited my sister is actually a really good percussionist,
Oh wow.
so she's playing on it. She's playing some it's some dumbex. It's called dumbex. It's an Indian percussion. It's made with stainless steel, and it sounds huge. We've tried different percussion. It was the one that sounded the most. And so there's some like long percussions with improvisation on keyboards. It's the album I play the most piano and keyboards, I would say, but it's still based on guitars mostly. I've got a couple of soundscapes, orchestrations, stuff like that, more sci-fi. So yeah, it's hard to describe really. It's a continuation of Door. Maybe there's more cohesion and there's more a link in between each song, if I can say. Yep.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. So we could expect 2022 release for it or something, or kind of hard to tell right now?
Maybe hopefully this year. I'm actually talking with labels to try to get that release, try to get it signed, and if not, I'll just release it indie. I'll see. I really want to finish the audio first, and yeah, to not to do it properly. But the
Finish what?
artwork is done. The artwork is done, and the audio is I'm 80% recorded and maybe 50% mixed. That's where I am, because the songs are so different. It's not like a usual mix, like a metal band. When I mix a metal band, you do your sound with the drum, and it's pretty much that sound. Like, obviously that is the same for all the songs. So for Humanoid, like, I can mix a song and mix another song 6 months later. It has nothing to do with it. Like, but
Stoked. Hell yeah.
yeah, I improved a bit the studio lately, so I have new tools I can use. So I'm experimenting with them. I always try to have. That's what I'm gonna do with Humanoid, is always have a link in between the albums, but also bring something new to it. That's pretty much my goal, and try to make the music in a way where you cannot expect really what's coming. So it's kind of like an adventure, or I want it to sound like a soundscape in itself, like
Exactly.
a bit like a soundtrack to a movie, or something like that. And
Sweet.
I'm working also with someone, Alexandre Larocque, that is working on a music video. So he started taking footage for that. We're doing it slowly, but yeah, it's gonna be cool. Like, I'm gonna try to push more that direction with this album and make a couple of music videos.
Awesome. Will that be the first music video for Humanoid?
Yeah, it's gonna be the first one. Yeah,
Okay.
there's
Wow.
a mini documentary that we did for Door. It was
Right.
more of a kind of a promo video. But
Okay.
yeah, there's no music videos yet. It's gonna be the first one.
Can't wait. I'm sure it'll be mind blowing just like the previous ones and Alice World, and can't wait for all the twists and turns that we'll take and formulate.
Oh, thanks,
um,
man.
so one more question about Humanoid. I think it's related to Humanoid, but years ago on your Facebook, I remember seeing a short little video clip of you and Antoine Dufour playing live. How'd that come about? You guys played a show together? Or?
Yeah, we did a show together. It was back in 2008 or 2009. Yeah, it was a show in Montreal. Antoine was headlining. I was playing. I was playing a humanoid set. I think
Oh wow.
Forrest was there because I did 8 to 10 shows with humanoid in those years, in that era, and Forrest was there. And there was also a set from a set list from Forrest. He was playing solo, and there was another set by Danny Leblanc from Atheretic. I don't know if you know Atheretic. It's a band that Forrest was playing in
Oh yeah.
uh,
Back in the day.
before late 90s, early 2000.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's a guy from the metal scene, but he's a really good acoustic guitar player. So he was on that set too. It was a really cool show, actually.
That's awesome.
The
That's
the, the venue the venue is also really incredible. It's called Le Quai des Brumes, and it's all made in wood. Like, all the walls are in wood, and it has that ancient church kind of vibe. But yeah, there were kind of noisy shows too, in the sense that for humanoid, it always seemed to be maybe I don't know, 60 or 70% of the crowd is people from the metal scene. So that show with Antoine Dufault was a bit hard for certain reasons, because people are talking loud, and it's kind of a quiet kind of music. You have to
uh
listen carefully, but it was kind of noisy. But still, like that show with Antoine, I think it was sold out. The bar was full, so it was really, really a cool show.
that's
I
awesome.
did
Yeah.
another show like a year before in that same venue. It was for the release of Remembering Universe, and it was actually a multimedia show. there was some projections behind the scenes, like the song that Forrest plays in. I remember it was underwater, so yeah, there was projections behind Forrest with the tentacles and and stuff like that, octopuses.
Nice. That's been a cool experience to be at. Damn, wish I could
Yeah.
have been there. Yeah, that song's pretty cool that you and Antoine do. Was that like improvised?
No, it's the song of his. I
Oh,
asked him. I asked him actually a bit before the show if he would mind if we would play a song together, and we uh, we we decided on this song. So I learned it maybe I don't know, a week or two before the show.
damn, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know he does mixing and mastering, sound engineering stuff himself. Um,
Yeah, it sounds really good actually.
yeah, I found out about it because this kind of like progressive black metal band, Amenasis with an A. I don't know if you heard of them. I guess
No.
he
Oh, you
mixed,
did some metal? I didn't know.
yeah, it was his first metal record he did this past year,
Okay.
and he mixed and mastered it. And like the album itself, the music's really cool. It's not just raw black metal type of thing. It's kind of almost like shoegazy at times, and
Okay.
there's just a lot of different stuff in it. But the thing that stood out to me about the album is the mix itself, and I was like, man, like you could really hear the bass guitar and all this stuff. I'm like
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
I'm gonna have
cool
to
thing
check it
about
out.
it, and kind of just gives that kind of more I don't know, contemporary modern sound to it. So it's
Ah,
pretty
cool.
different for black metal stuff. But yeah, and then on the next Humanoid, could we expect to see Forrest on a song or two again? Or
Yeah, Forrest is gonna play on a song. Yeah, I have yet to record him, and maybe two other guests. I'm not 100% decided yet on who, but there's gonna be also a guest I still have to. It's gonna be made at distance with Kane, the singer of Diamanta. He's really a cool guy that likes to experiment with his vocals. So it's gonna be really ambient vocals. Like obviously, there's not gonna be lyrics or stuff like that. It's just gonna be used as soundscape, as
wow,
elements into a soundscape. But
that'd be interesting.
lately I received tracks from Moyano El Buffalo. That's a guy from England, and he recorded some drums. I just finished preparing the mix for his part, and it's really cool. It's the first time I'm getting tracks from a guy that really sounds 70s, like because before I worked with good drummers, but they were from a metal background, and this guy is more into a prog rock background, and he's a minimalistic in a way that for the choice of his mics and the way he plays and everything, it sounds really vintage. So yeah, his parts are incredible. It's really cool. That song is actually there's a song on the album that really that has that 70s sound, but also has the humanoid sound also to it. Like
Okay,
it's not gonna sound like another band. It always has the signature of the project.
awesome. Really looking forward to it. So yeah, we talked about it earlier, but yeah, next week is the live stream you guys are doing for Concealed.
Yep.
How's like the rehearsals going for it for yourself and all that? Any more kind of info on it in general?
Yeah, we really look forward for that show. It's gonna be in a week. So we have to go to Quebec City. It's a 3 hours drive, and I don't know if we have a lot of time. I hope we're gonna have a lot of time for sound checking. But I know that venue, they're super well organized. They're set up for doing live streams since I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 months. It's since the beginning of the pandemic. Basically, they started to transform the venue for that. So they have all their camera guy and producers there, and apparently, like Forrest did a show there with his other band Barf. They played there. I saw their show. It was maybe 2 months ago,
Oh, really?
and it was really really nice. And that's at that show that the promoter asked him if Augury would be willing to play. So yeah, we look forward we look forward to do that show, and it's actually a good reason to because we like really we like the song Unconcealed, so it's a good reason for rehearsing them and relearn. It's always interesting and fun to relearn some old songs that you made like 20 years ago and relearning them, and you kind of relive a bit the era that you were in at the time.
Hell yeah, I'm looking forward
So
to
it
it.
was
Have you guys played it in its entirety before back in the day, or?
actually we did it only once. It was a show in Abitibi in my region. So it was, I think, to get there was 7 hours. No, it's 7 to 8 hours drive to get there. It was the middle of a storm, and yeah, that's the only show we played all the album completely. And it's
Wow.
the only show that I broke a string on my guitar with Augury,
Oh yeah.
because we use some guitar with string gauge like so big that it never breaks. So it was the only show, but I don't have a spare guitar. So I remember I changed my string in the middle of the song, and I got back to I got back into it into the same song. Like it was really really quick.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to see Ever Known Peace again and Becoming God and Russian Dolls Universes, all those classics to see live. I might have seen it on YouTube, like one of those songs before, but never
Yeah,
like
there's
in its
songs.
entirety.
Yeah, there's songs that we never. Apart from that show, there's songs that we never played. Other than that, like the two last songs of the album. In Russian Dolls, we played it a bit more back in the days, but nowadays not that much.
Hmm.
Same for Becoming God. Like it's not a song that we play often, but it's so fun to play that song live.
Hell yeah. What's the guitar and amp you're playing these days?
I'm still using my main axe for augury, which is Mark Chiquan. It's a luthier from Sherbrooke in Quebec. So it's still my main guitar for augury. It's always been. And right now my gear for live is I use my Kemper with a Marshall Valve Estate
Oh
and
wow.
plugged into a Mesa cab, a 412 Mesa Celestion 30.
Wow, that's awesome. You have a
But
valve
for the
state.
show, yeah, but for the show, I'm renting another. I'm renting a dual rectifier Mesa Boogie. So I might use this one. I'll do some tests. It's really not easy right now because we don't have a local for augury, so I cannot play loud in a loud situation. So here in my apartment, I cannot play really loud. So for testing amps, it's kind of I'm gonna see it at the venue, like I'm gonna be prepared, and I'm gonna do some quick tests and decide on which amp I'm gonna use. But Pat is gonna have pretty much the equivalent. He's renting a Mesa dual rectifier as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't know which cab he'll use. Probably a Marshall that's there. We'll see.
That's awesome. I'm not
Yeah.
too knowledgeable with kind of gearhead type stuff, but I've heard valve states, you got to kind of like repair them often, or like something, not the tubes, but it's something like if you buy like a used one these days, chances are it might be kind of shot or something. You got to fix it up. I don't know if you've heard that
Yeah,
before.
actually, it's funny you mentioned that because actually, this amp I repaired four problems on it before I bought it because it was a friend of mine. He asked me to repair it. There was four troubles. I repaired it. It was working super good, and I always liked the sound of this amp, this actual amp. And I gave it back to him, and I asked him if he wants to sell it. Sometimes I'm gonna buy it for sure. And then he exchanged me that later, a couple of years later, for a repair on another amp because I was at that time I was overloaded, overbooked. Like I couldn't and I didn't want to do any repairs. and he convinced me like, come on, man, you have to repair that. You have to repair that. I'm gonna give you the Marshall valve estates, and it ended up just being like a fuse or something ridiculous. Like it was a small problem, and I got that ham for almost nothing, basically.
Wow.
So I was lucky on that, and I even tried to sell it, the Marshall valve estate, once, and I didn't have the time to check the my emails or like the responses for buyers, and I ended up keeping it. And when I got my camper 2 years ago, I have tried it with the Marshall, and it sounds really good. Like this valve estates really has that. It really has that death metal mid modern mid vintage sound,
Hell
and
yeah.
it really works well for me, for the guitar I use and the pickups and everything. It's really an amp that I like. Most of the amp that I use other than that were 5150s or Mesa Boogie dual rectifiers. That's pretty much my favorite amps.
Okay. Yeah, my a buddy of mine I used to play a band with, he had a valve state, but it was like completely shot as far as the distortion part. Um,
Okay,
Neither of us knew anything about the technical side of the amps back
okay,
then, but he would just plug in this like shitty Boss death metal pedal, and then like it would sound halfway decent then. But
okay.
that was just early kind of garage days jamming out, so it didn't really matter about the tone. But yeah, I'm sure valve state amps early 90s when they were kind of more accessible, it was kind of easier to get the solid, Chuck Scoldiner tone out of it. And because I love the
Yeah,
sound, but it's just like you got to really dial it in. I also heard there's like a specific, I'm drawing a blank on the company, but there's this pedal that's supposed to replicate specifically a valve state
oh yeah.
sound. It'll come to me later, but yeah, it's like 250 bucks, but yeah, it's just that valve state kind of truck tone on a pedal. But yeah, it'd be cool
Yeah,
to.
it really has. It's it's really a fun amp. Like whatever the way you are using it. Personally, for me right now, I'm just using like the power section of it, because the camper is kind of the it's kind of the preamp. The way I plugged it like the output of the camper goes into the return of the amp, so it's just the power section I'm using, but it works really well for what I do.
Okay, awesome. Can't wait, man. Yeah, and then so you said you're working on new augury material too. How's
Yeah,
that?
I've got two songs recorded, the final for my guitars, for my like the obviously like the click track, all the composition and like the rhythm guitars are all done, and then Pat is has started to record his, so he basically records on top of because I like to present a song with two guitars all the like that's how I work now. Like I don't like to present just one guitar. It sounds too thin. I like to have the stereo. So Pat records on top of it with his IDs and everything. But I've got two songs so far, and Pat and Forrest, I know they have a lot of riffs, but they have to assemble them. I started to work with Pat, only Pat for now, and yeah, it's gonna be really cool. The new album, again, a continuity. Like it's really gonna be a continuity of Elusive Golden Age.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, and then real quick about the live stream, can we expect to hear other songs too, or is it kind of like a secret right now?
Yeah, we're gonna play other material too. Like, yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be a surprise, but yeah, because
Oh yeah.
just the album would have been too short for a show, just concealed. So yeah, there's gonna be more stuff.
Awesome. Oversee the rebirth? No, I'm just kidding. One day.
That song would, yeah, maybe one day, because that song alone would take a local to practice it.
Yeah.
It's a long and I would need a stand and the proper I would need a 12-string guitar also, because there's 12 strings guitar in the middle and there's a lot of stuff. But I would like to play it at least once. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, it was definitely my favorite Augury
Oh
song. When
yeah.
I first heard it when I was like, I don't know, 15 in high school, I was just completely blown away. I was just like, what is
Oh yeah.
this? But yeah. So yeah, anything else you'd want to say to listeners out there? Kind of more details on the live stream or anything like that? You could purchase your tickets at like through the Facebook, right? And it's through that
Yeah, through
website,
the yeah, exactly.
thepointofmontreal.com.
Exactly. And the show is going to be available for 48 hours. So people from overseas or wherever they are, they can have access to it 48 hours, so you can listen to it like in your own time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're looking forward to it, and it's gonna be a cool it should be a cool experience.
Hell yeah, I can't wait, man. Is there like two different packages or something to buy for it?
Yeah, they did a package for a group. It's basically like if you're many person and you feel like contributing more, you can choose that option. Like they did that for people that want to support. Like if there's a couple of people in the room, they can always chip in together and take the group one.
Donate more. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just bought my ticket, so I'm all set up. But yeah, for listeners out there, it's next Friday, January 29th, and it's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's going to be a journey, a huge show. It's going to be sick. It's been a while since I've seen Augury live performance, but yeah, we're all pretty stoked for that. But yeah, well, Matthew, thanks so much for doing this. It's been an honor to interview you.
Hey, thank you so
Wanted to
much.
set this up for a long time, man. But yeah, glad it all worked out, and yeah, hopefully we could do this again some other time.
Yeah, sure, man. Anytime. Thanks to you, Tom. It's really, really appreciate.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well,
Cool.
enjoy the rest of your day, man. Take care.
Take care, you too, man.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers.